is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you had a good weekend. And we got another week. We'll see. We'll see what October week number two wants to bring the market. So far, we got a little bit of a gap down. So some bulls are sad, but I'm happy because we got Albert House. Good morning to you. Good morning to Andy, Cheryl, Chris, Corey, D, Frank. Good morning to Jay, Jeff, Joe, Lauren, Marius, Martina. We got Mike. Good morning to Rick. All my people out in YouTube land. Levy's in the house. Good morning to you. Clarice. Cute Critters. Good morning to you. Can I look at Tesla? Yep, we can definitely take a look at that. All my lurkers in the background that just gonna sit there quietly. It's okay. I still love you. Hit that like and subscribe buttons. But yeah, a little bit of a gap down. I feel like we're getting a ton of analyst upgrades, downgrades. So a lot of companies moving a little bit. Otherwise, not really too much craziness in terms of news. It is October 7th, so a 1 year anniversary from, unfortunately, the attack on Israel that kind of kicked off a lot of tensions, and I think you still have a lot of tensions coming in. So maybe some more war headlines, things like that we have to deal with. Otherwise, we have CPI this week, and I think the market's going to try to wait for that. But is that's definitely something that's going to move the markets. Otherwise, we got SPY slight gap down, still inside Friday's candle. This crazy looking hammer that we ended up throwing in on Friday. I'm looking for support somewhere around 570.68. We're going to have a few resistance above us, unfortunately. So this would be next one up, 571.22. One after that, 571.91. And then a big one at 572.37. So pretty much right into the opening price of Friday's candle. If we can start getting above that, if we could get a close above that, all right, we might be off to the races still. We're still above every single moving average possible. So I got my 20 right here. I got my 50, my 100, my 200, which really far extended from that 200. But see if we get a little bit more chopping. Otherwise, for the most part, if we look at the weekly candles, this would be our fourth week up in a row without any pullbacks. So can we start to see some? Of course, we haven't really seen it yet, though. So we're just kind of patiently waiting, see if any dips come in and how big of a dip the market wants to take it if we get it. But otherwise, we are not a great gap, not a fantastic gap. If we end up breaking that initial support, I've got a few other supports below us, 569.01. One of that's 567.11. So I got a decent amount of resistance on the upside. I got a decent amount of support to the downside. So probably we're just in a little chop range. Qs with a little bit of a gap down as well. Still inside day candle. I would say big resistance on this one. Eight. Whew, that'd be crazy. But 485.67. So I got one, two, almost three levels that could hold us back there. After that, the next pretty big one is 487.24. And then to the upside, if we could retrace that, which would be us breaking out of this little gap up hammer situation, that would take us into 489.73. So huge levels. I would have liked to, and we still have 25 minutes. We'll see if the market could creep up, open up somewhere above this 485.67 zone. That would put a little bit more trust in the bull side. However, right now that is a decent resistance. To the downside, the next one I got is 483.07. We hit that on Friday. So I think it's a little bit easier to break that one. And then the bigger support that I would be looking for is 480.48. So we'll see what the market wants to do. But again, lots of resistance on Qs, lots of support on Qs. I think we're in for a little chop as well. So we will see. We will see. Yep. Let me know if you guys got tickers that you want to take a look at. The first one I see is Tesla. So we'll pull that one up. Tessie. Tesla doing a little something different. So we actually do have a gap up on Tesla. We are looking at good support on this one, 248.80. And then the next one slightly lower, 248.60. So at least that range should have decent support. Really nice close on Friday. I would assume everyone's kind of looking at this gap up here, 257.79. And then to the way up, we've got a little bit of We've got some resistance from all of those days, but I think the target on this one, give me into like that 258. We'll call it 258. Otherwise, for today, it is a little bit of a retest gap. We're still inside day. Let's see if we can get a pullback, see how close we can look for 248.60. And as long as the entire market's not just falling apart at that point, that would probably be a decent spot to look to enter in long to see if you get that gap fill, get a little bit better risk reward. First resistance on this one, 252.85. I don't know if we're going to immediately break that. That is quite the gap and go we've had on Tesla on Friday, though. So we will see. Otherwise, yeah, if we can get a little pullback, I think it's decent attempt to try it long. AMD, we got Nvidia coming in too, so the chips. Still some interest in the chip land. Uh, Pre-market, I saw this at 172, so I guess it came down a little bit pre-market so far. This would be another one I think we're looking for. Probably we'll call it 177, but I got 176.99, so 177. That gives us some decent room to the higher side. We are opening into a little bit of resistance, so depends on when this one opens. I think pre-market, when I looked at it before, we were above it. So if we could get higher than 172, 172.02, I think then we're off to the races to this one, at least into the, for today, I think at least we probably get into 176.49. Is not really much holding us back. This is a retest gap at resistance. We might be looking at a fade today, at least out of the gate. And then I'd be looking for the first spot, which would be, I don't really have much to go off of, but it's just the closing price of Friday, 170.97 if it gets back down. Otherwise, I think I would be looking for about a 169.92 for entry. So if we could get a retest on this one, if it throws in a high wave candle, it's not a bad location for a little high wave, 3-minute high wave candle. We take a break and then we're looking to go. If it doesn't really want to do that much of a retest, a small one is fine with me. But yeah, that would allow us to get in above 172 on a breakout. It's got a lot of room on it. It's kind of nice. Nvidia, not having the same luck AMD is. So this one is pulling back a little bit, probably with the rest of the market. This one we've already gotten up into the zone. We've already retested. That was a good close on Friday, though. I like that. I like where that VPOC closed. So lots of volume up there. We're opening essentially into it at the moment. I think we got some higher targets on this one. I think 128.39. Everything else has been kind of messed with this candle from September 26th. This would be another one I would consider watching pretty bullish out of the gate. Again, the only problem with that is Q's and SPY look like a chop fest. Look like a major chop fest, but I think if as long as we're above probably 124.50, I can make a case. Even just into a retest of like 125.64 would be an okay target. I don't know. I don't know if we have great risk reward with that. But we'll see. I pretty much want to stay bullish with it though. So not bad. The other one is MU. So MU, it was a gap. It was a retrace gap on Friday. We nailed that one. That was didn't even bounce, but we did come in. We did hit that prior resistance. So there was some strength here. There was a little profit taking. I think my first target is 103.66. We've already hit that. It's a little bit easier to break through. We do have that 100 coming in somewhere around 104.95. We can get past it though. I got room up to 107.98. So that gives us a really good range, and we're opening right at that 200. So anytime you hear Jeremy, and this is the EMA, but anytime you hear Jeremy say just well, easy, buy off that blue line. That's the blue line he's talking about, or at least one of them. So that's not bad. And we were actually pre-market, looked a little worse than where we're at now. So we are kind of trying to rise. We'll see where this one opens, but Pretty good location in the end, even though it's a red candle. I think it was a little profit taking more than anything. So I would still be a little bit more bullish on MU. Oxy is going to be interesting. Going to be a headline stock. Pretty nice breakout. I think oil is pretty much everywhere across the board gapping up. I saw ExxonMobil earlier gapping up as well. This is a retest gap. So on a technical basis, we should be looking for a pullback. Probably a better spot to look to buy 55.75 if it comes down. I don't know what headlines we get. Obviously, I don't have that crystal ball in terms of any more enhanced conflict or new attacks that may or may not happen today. I believe there was some over the weekend though, and that's causing this little spike in oil, everything related to kind of gap up further. So I'm going to give technical levels, but we could break through and things could go crazy. So we'll see. But support on this one, if it pulls back, I'm looking for 55.72. To the higher side, I've got 56.71. After that, I got good resistance into the 100 at 57.22. So we can start getting any closing above this 57.22. Then the next real spot, a little bit longer term, would take us back into the $60.10 range. So it's got some room for a swing. I would have much preferred to get in somewhere down here on a swing. Nice little almost double bottom. We did have one new lower low, but great candle, good volume, and I would have preferred to be more bullish on oil here than kind of getting up into the resistance. So if we get a pullback, and I don't know where that pullback comes, it's going to be probably, I would assume, just news related on that one. Amazon with a downgrade today. Yep. Amazon getting a good old downgrade. So it's a bearish gap and ghost. Again, still inside day from yesterday or Friday. If we were opening anywhere, and maybe we still do, there's still some time, but I think if we open anywhere from 183.63 or lower, I think it's more of an instant reaction to the downside. That would take us to 182.22. Other than that, if we're opening inside this candle, I think the better spot to attempt to short will be 185.06. So see if we can get kind of bid up, see how we handle that level there. If it goes a little extended, maybe we can get 185.48, but this 185.06 zone, 185.14, I think that would be somewhere in that zone would be the better spots for trying to take some kind of a breakdown. But we shall see. But it is a little gap and go. And they do have a downgrade, so there's some news revolving Amazon. You just have that support here too. And that's a good bounce off that 100 that we had. So just kind of coming back, retesting some of that, and then going from there. But if we end up breaking, I think this 182.22, we'll probably get some more further downside. PFE, they have a activist investor stepping in, so you do have a good move on PFE. At least pre-market. 29.55. I think this was probably one of the, we might be at that pre-market high. Yeah, so you do have a little pre-market volume zone 29.57. The high of this move, I think, was somewhere in the 29.68. So that's where we first got that initial reaction. And then otherwise, if we could get through that pre-market high, I would expect it to continue higher with a good activist investor. But you do have some resistance coming in. So 29.78, you got 29.86, $30.03. Anything past $30.03, I think you have a much bigger kind of platform. This is a retest gap, but we're clearing out a lot of these bears too. Most notably this candle right here. So at open, clearing that volume, maybe that's enough to push it through, but you have a big level of resistance kind of right above you. So we will see on this one. But otherwise, I think it would be a fun one to watch. Do I even have, how do I not have PFE on the list? We will get it up there today though. And then we have the 200 EMA below us as well. We're above all moving averages with this gap up. He says, I'm in on PFE trying to figure out where to trail my stop. Sorry, just joined. Where'd you get in from? Where was your, let me know what your opening price was or your purchase price. Mm, 28.47. All right, so you're solid. Uh, I would think you should be safe at 28.22 if you're not locking gains in at open. So if you're looking just to take profit, I don't know where your target was and also where to stretch my target. You might not want to stretch your target. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I it's a good gap. There's still that same resistance above us. I think we saw it in the what was it, the Nike deal? Was it Nike with the activist investor or Starbucks? I think it was Nike. But it could be a 2 day play, 3 day play. There could be like some follow through news. I think this is a little different than a Nike play where if you're taking over Nike, yeah, there's some different strategies you could use and sell more shoes, sell more apparel, things like that. PFE, you kind of need the drugs. You got to make the drugs. So I don't know how crazy longer term this gap up would be. I think it's a good start though. Um, but if you had the original targets, I think I would probably just lock my gains and then in some case of a 50% pullback, we hit this resistance first, we kind of fail it, we pull back. You might have a chance to re-enter the trade, depending again where your initial targets are. But stops on this one, I don't think you get down to this bullish retest gap. You could probably even go break even. But that's a nice bullish engulfing candle. If you want to stay safe, stay in longer. I yeah, somewhere around 28, 22 is where I'd have my stops where I really shouldn't get taken out. And that at least gives you more room to kind of move the stops up as you get this kind of probably probable pullback, I would assume at some point. So you probably see something like this, maybe comes back down to here and then later kind of shoots up over a multi-day time frame. So if this candle breaks, just I'd be out. I just whatever, small loss. I don't want to break that. But we'll see where today's candle closes on it. We got Microsoft MSFT. We've been hovering around the 618 for a while. Not actually loving this gap because I did buy some calls right around here. I got some plenty of time on it. But we're kind of opening right below this downtrend, still inside day of this one candle. This is a retest gap, so I wouldn't go short right out of the gate, I don't think. We also got this level of support. Problem is we hit that already, come a little bit lower. The next spot I'd be looking for is 413.38 and then down to like 412.33. Anything past that, I think you're you're in a little bit of a deeper dive with probable final targets to the downside about 403.66. So could get a little bit ugly, but this one lots of selling into this gap down. I think I would expect some kind of a retest. Again, the problem with this one is where we're opening is right outside of this little uptrend. If you have calls, maybe you want to try to figure out how to protect some of your position, whether that's day trading it to the short side. But if I was to do that, I'd be looking to try to get short somewhere around 416.25. But not a great gap on Microsoft today. The only thing that could save some people bulls is there could be a retest, and I kind of wanted that spot to hold. So I don't know what I'll do with those Microsoft calls. The other thing too, though, is you've got earnings coming out on October 22nd. So maybe not really panic so much. All right, I just figured out my new plan. I'm not gonna panic. I've got calls till December. The same one Calvin has been kind of buying the 420s. I'm not gonna panic. We still got support of the 200. If it comes down further into like this 408, 409 zone, I'll add some calls. I'll add some calls to 402, and then just pray we get some great earnings. That's probably gonna be my strategy on that one. But it is Microsoft. They make tons of money. Biggest problem with Microsoft is their growth is not great, not based on the fact it's not a good company. It's just huge. It's already massive. All right, we got GR Garmin. Garmin, yeah, they got a downgrade today, I believe. Massive gap down. This is technically a retest gap with some selling into it. But anybody who started buying this one and was feeling really good on their position anywhere from August 5th, so you got about 2 months, almost, yeah, about just over 2 months of bulls who were obviously notably there for a lot of it. They're all losing. And the only people kind of holding in is 160. Let's see, did they put a price target on this one? They put a price target of 139. That's still a long ways away. That would take us into this gap fill. On a technical basis, yeah, I could kind of agree with that 139. That would be a good support long term. I'd probably be a little bit more interested on the fade on this one. Fade it, go long. Just because we're at some decent support from here for a day trade, longer term, I don't know. Maybe that 200 saves it, but you're now trapping a lot of people with this gap. So we'll see. Lucian says Baba, if we did not already cover it. Nope. Yeah, China was still gapping up bullish. Baba, nice little gap into almost 52-week highs. This is going to be deceiving because we were up at, I think, 119.50 in a pre-market one of these days, and it just kind of refaded completely. So technically, we're not at an all-time high. I guess just active hours all-time high. I think this one probably ends up actually pulling back out of the gate. I know I'm bullish Baba, but I gotta call it like I see it. This is a red candle, not really a gap and go though. This was more of a retrace gap from the day before. I think this one kind of acts as a little bit of a retrace gap too. But longer term, still very positive on Baba. Still got some good moves. We did just build in some support, so it's gonna be tough. We did that. Remember again, 119.50. We got rejected. That would give us about $2 to the higher side before we got to face that bigger pre-market kind of level. 120, good psychological hold number. So we'll see. But if you want to try to get in, if it pulls back into this 114.70 zone, that will give you better risk reward. And then we'll see how this thing wants to actually open. Weekly candle. Yep. Still also a weekly retest as well. So, and then you got a bunch of, I think, resistance. I guess essentially right where we got into that pre-market move. So we'll see. Still very bullish on this breakout for most Chinese names. Baba being kind of one of the strongest moves we've had so far. Baidu, it's been no joke as well, though. Interesting. Wick just came in on Microsoft MSFT. Mm, yeah, they just, I mean, where's the bid ask? Bid ask is around that zone too. Yeah, little bit of a pump. You still got to get through that little blue line that we have on this chart, though. And then we're kind of now at this point opening into that resistance that we just talked about. So we'll see if we could clear it. If we could get a nice bullish engulfing day today on Microsoft, I think Microsoft is going to be solidly strong. But even coming in from Friday, I got my big resistance 416.35. So we want to start clearing that. Been they've been getting a little punished, a little bit punished. NNE Oh, was I muted? How long did I go mute for? Um, you guys were there for the Microsoft, right? Hours? The whole thing. Um, NNE is a little bit of a gap up, but still inside day. So, I like this one in terms of targets. I got targets to like 2280, 2284, something like that. But I think a better spot if you get a little pullback, watch for like the 1911 zone, see if that one wants to come down. But otherwise, it's had a really good run so far. It does have some more room on it, so I like it. Uh, let's see, we got 2 minutes left. You guys ran out of tickers. Bitcoin did have a little bit of a pop. Interesting spot for Bitcoin to. I know we're talking Coinbase, but I would watch this one in sympathy of the Bitcoin kind of rally. We got down to a good support right at that 618. We are starting to pop a little bit. And then I think Bitcoin did go a little bit positive as well. So it is bouncing where it should. You're gonna open up with a 20 EMA right here, pretty much right at open. So a little bit of a pullback would do fantastically. I think as close as we get to the first spot, at least 170.60. If crypto is pulling back a little bit harder, watch for this 167.43. But nice little retracement, nice little bounce. And I think we got room on this one to 179. So regardless, we got about $8 from the opening price as well. TIGR uh does not fit my trading plan. Just at first glance, but it's big retest gap for sure. You're gonna hit some kind of resistance getting into like $18.28. There's still a lot of room on it, but this is gonna be one of those big retest gaps. See if this one fades first. I would be looking maybe $10.15 if you're interested. So I'm gonna need a pretty decent deal on it. All right. Otherwise, that is the opening bell. Everybody on YouTube, you guys are absolutely awesome. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Be safe in the market. CPI this week. I think that's going to be the big news. Everything else kind of looks like, at least the overall markets look a little chop festy. So we'll see what happens on that. But you guys are awesome. I'll catch you guys later. Later, guys.